Welcome, let's build a radio station studio. The first thing you'll need is a desk of some sort to put everything on. This can be as basic as an office desk or as fancy as you like. Often studio and studio desks are designed to impress potential clients, sponsors, and advertisers, but don't actually change the functioning or sound of the studio. Then the heart of the studio is the mixing desk or mixer board. This can be a standard audio mixer that you can find in any music store, or you can use a radio mixer which has been specifically designed to be used in radio stations. The main difference is that on a radio desk there are trigger buttons to start and stop the music, adverts, and so on. You also often won't find a built-in graphic equalizer on a radio desk like you will in most standard audio mixers. Then you will need studio condenser microphones on adjustable boom stands so they can be adjusted to be comfortably used by the presenter and the guests. You can have just 2 microphones if you have a small studio, or as many as you like for larger studios, but very seldom do you see more than 5 microphones in a radio studio. The PC is where most of your radio station functionality is. This is where you will run your music automation software as well as play adverts, jingles, recorded programs, and even record your shows on. Many of these functions can be broken up into multiple screens to make it easier to access each program or application without cramming it all onto one screen. You can also have conventional physical music players such as DJ decks, a regular CD player or Blu-ray player, and even vinyl turntables if your radio station is into that. In most modern studios though, the entire audio output comes from the PC. This also helps to create less clutter in the studio. Next are the headphones. You will need a pair for the presenter and a pair for your guests. They should be the type that cover your ears to prevent any feedback into the microphone. Most radio presenters should own their own headphones though. The guest headphones should be cleaned and disinfected regularly as multiple people will be using them. There should be at least as many headphones as the number of microphones. You can have more headphones if, for example, 2 guests will be sharing the guest microphone. You will need to be able to control the volume levels of each headphone separately to adjust for each individual. The guest can have a volume control, or you can control it for them. You will also need a telephone hybrid to connect your landline to the mixer if you are going to be taking live calls on air. If you don't intend taking calls on air, just a regular phone will do. Just be sure to make it silent with a light to indicate that there is a call coming in. You will also need a channel on your desk for external feeds, such as live events, concerts, or outside broadcasts. These can come through multiple sources, such as radio links, satellite feeds, or via the internet. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and would like to support my channel, check out this awesome merch that you can buy, all radio and sound related. The link is in the description. Thanks so much for your support. Let's get back to the video. Next, you will need a pair of studio monitors. You can work just on headphones, but it is nice to be able to take a break from the headphones and listen on the speakers while you're not talking on air. The speakers need to switch off automatically when you turn the microphones on. A radio mixer will have a trigger on the mic fader to turn the speakers on and off so you don't get feedback when you are speaking into the microphone. The on-air light is also connected to the same trigger on the mic fader of the desk. The purpose of the on-air light is to indicate that the mic is live or hot, so that everyone in the studio knows to keep quiet as what is being said is going out on air. Many people think that the light is just decorative and it stays on all the time. The light has a function and is not just for show. The light should actually stay off most of the time and only turn on when the microphones are live. Then go off again when the mics are off. For the microphones, you will want some audio processing to get that big radio sound. There are many types, but the DBX286S works great for this. All the microphones can be grouped to one group channel on the desk and sent to the audio processor, or you can use aux send and receive to send all the mics to the processor or have separate processors for each microphone. Then all the processed microphone signals return to the desk output. The final link in your audio chain should be a brick wall limiter to keep the final audio level in check and not exceed its maximum level. The processing equipment can also be kept in a separate rack in an adjacent room to avoid there being any tampering with the settings. From the audio limiter, you can go straight to your low-power transmitter if your radio station is a small station, such as in a shopping center or public venue. If you have a bigger transmitter on a high site, you can instead send your signal to the radio link, which will go out to the transmitter site. From there, the FM radio signal will go out. Then you need a nice comfortable chair for your presenter as well as for your guests. These are the parts that make up the equipment section of the studio. But what changes the room into a studio? These are the additional things needed to turn a basic room into a radio studio. Firstly, you could have a separate voice booth which can be used for the newsreader or for recording adverts and other voiceovers such as jingles. This can be in the same room or in an adjacent room which can be controlled by a sound engineer or sound technician. Then, to make the room sound like a radio studio, you will need soundproofing and sound damping. These are two very different things, but they add together to give you a nice clean room sound. The soundproofing, such as double-glazed windows and doors, help to keep the outside noises, such as traffic and people in the building, from going out on air through your microphones. The sound damping, on the other hand, reduces the echo in the room. There are many ways to do this, such as changing the angle of the walls and windows, but in most cases, using sound damping material is enough. You can use acoustic foam, which is more expensive, or carpeting on the walls, which works well, and even using thick curtains in the room will make a big difference to the echo, so you go from presenting like this to your audience to sounding like this, where there is no echo and the microphone sound is clean and warm. The final thing to keep in mind is that if you are running a 24-hour radio station, you will need electrical backup. This can be a battery UPS or a generator if the generator is far enough from the studio to avoid noise. The power supply must be able to run the entire studio for at least a few hours, so a normal small PC UPS will not work. You need at least a 2 kVA inverter with 24-volt 100 amp batteries. So there it is, your entire radio station studio. Have fun building yours.